Welcome students to my video lecture on goals of psychological inquiry. I request you to go through this video lecture more than once for a better understanding. What are the goals of psychological inquiry? The first step or the first point of psychological inquiry is description. In a psychological study, we attempt to describe a behavior or a phenomena as accurately as possible. So, before we can proceed towards a psychological study, we first need to describe the behavior we want to study. So, we have to describe that behavior very accurately. This helps in distinguishing a particular behavior from other behaviors. So, as we know that there are various kinds of behaviors. So, if we describe a particular behavior very accurately, then it is easier for us to distinguish it from other behaviors. So we will not get confused, or the study material which we are creating, it will not be confusing. It will be accurate. With a particular category, there may be further minute description. So within a particular category, there may be further minute descriptions. So one behavior we are describing, inside that behavior, within that behavior, we can describe various other faculties or various other points or various other nodes of that behavior. The description requires recording of a particular behavior which helps in its proper understanding. So, description requires recording. So, we need to record a particular behavior which helps in its proper understanding. So, whatever we were describing, it must be recorded so that we can go through it more than once to understand, for proper understanding, which is the first step for psychological inquiry, that is description. We need to describe the behavior. After description, the second step for psychological inquiry is prediction. So after description comes prediction. If you are able to understand and describe the behavior accurately, if we can describe the behavior accurately, you come to know the relationship of a particular behavior with other types of behaviors, events or phenomena. So when we are describing a particular behavior in detail, we can very well understand its relationship with other behaviors or its relationship with the occurring events in that situation. Correct? You can then forecast that under certain conditions. So if we can well describe it at the first step, then after we well describe it, we can understand the relationship. That means why means what is the probability of that behavior. So based on that probability of the behavior, we can forecast, we can predict that this behavior has occurred maybe due to this, or this behavior seems like this. So this prediction can be done. Next, prediction becomes more accurate with the increase in the number of persons observed. So prediction becomes more accurate with the increase in the number of persons observed. That means if I look at a particular behavior of a particular person, of a single person say, so that based on that, the prediction of that behavior may be difficult because it's only one person. But if I think about the behavior, say for an example, anger. We are saying from a very top level view, anger. So anger is a behavior which I describe for one person. So after describing for one person, it is very difficult to predict that why the anger may have occurred. So in that case, means it's difficult to predict and it may be erroneous after prediction also. So if I describe that same anger not only on one person, rather on say 50 persons or 50 people in a room or in a set environment, then it is very much easier, or it is very much accurate, not easier, but more than easier, it is accurate. It becomes accurate to predict the behavior. Okay, so more the number of persons, the better or the accurate the prediction is. Next step for in the goal of psychological inquiry is explanation. So after description, then comes prediction. Then after prediction comes explanation. To know the causal factors or determinants of behavior. So why the behavior has occurred? Mainly to know the causal factors. And it is to be very well explained. So why a particular behavior has occurred? Why that anger has occurred? It has the causal factors for that anger. That may be the situation which has triggered the anger. It may be some other person who has triggered the anger. So various factors can be present for the particular behavior to occur. It may be a psychological factor, it may be a physical factor, it may be environmental factor, any factor. Okay. So explaining that causal factors, to know that causal factors in detail is explanation. Next, it is to know the factors that make behavior occur. To know, so again, the causal factors or the determinants which make the behavior occur, for which the behavior occurs. Also, what are the conditions under which a particular behavior does not occur? So not only a particular behavior why it is occurring, rather a particular behavior on which factors does not occur. Like for example, anger. Anger can occur on several factors, based on several factors, but based on several factors it may not occur. So that may also come under explanation. Okay. Next point for goals of psychological inquiries is control. If you are able to explain why a particular behavior occurs, if the explanation step is done, so you see all the steps are linked. First comes description, then only comes prediction, then comes explanation, then comes control. Okay, so if you are able to explain why a particular behavior occurs, so if a behavior can be explained, you can control that behavior by making changes in its antecedent conditions. So if I know why anger occurs, if I can well explain to you that anger occurs because of this reason. So suppose anger occurs for you, obviously if you know the reasons why anger occurs, you may control it. Suppose if I tell you that anger occurs because anger occurs when somebody tells you bad words. So if you know that when somebody will tell me bad words, my anger will get triggered, so you may control it. You may control it with help of some techniques, because you are well aware that if somebody tell me bad words, then my anger will get triggered. That means it is under my control because I know the result. If we know the result, we can control it by changing in its antecedent conditions. Control refers to three things. What does control refers? Control means making a particular behavior happen, reducing it or enhancing it. So we can either, control means we can either make it happen. Suppose for controlling anger, you need to show some different behavior. To control anger, you need to show some different behavior. That behavior you need to happen if you need to control anger. So this comes as the first point, making a particular behavior happen. Or you may reduce it by changing in the antecedent conditions, or you may enhance it. If something needs to get enhanced, you may enhance it. So you have the control if you know the explanation. Next, and the last which comes in the goals of psychological inquiry, is application. So what is application? Application is to bring out positive changes in the lives of people. So why we are studying psychological factors, or why we are studying psychological behaviors? To help people, right? Suppose why we are dealing with anger management. Why psychologists are talking about anger management? Why spiritual leaders are talking about anger management? Why mind healers are concerned about anger management? Because to bring positive changes in the lives of people, the very easiest thing. Why people come to psychologists? Why people come to mind healer? Because they need something positive in their life. What is wrong in their life, they need to take it out from their life, and they need to have a good life. So for any psychological research or any psychological study you are doing, ultimately you have to apply it. If you don't apply it, if the psychological principle cannot be applied, then it's of no use, because it has to have a good effect, have a positive effect on the mankind. Psychological research is conducted to solve problems in various settings. So why psychological research is conducted? To solve problems. Very easy. The most and the important thing for which we are studying psychology, for which psychology is a very intriguing field, for which psychology is the most interesting field, because it's about studying the problems of people, the different problems a person can face. Different person can face different problem in their life, and to solve that. Ultimately, we have to solve that and have to give the solutions. So it is about solving and providing solutions so that the problem may not occur next time. Okay. Because of these efforts, the quality of life of people is a major concern of psychologists. So all these things are studied, all these efforts are made because the quality of life, because life has to have a good quality. If we have a bad quality of life, that's of no use. But if a psychologist can make a person's life good, if a person's life can be made of good quality, then it's a success. Scientific inquiry is also conducted to develop new theories of or constructs, which leads to further research. So why we are talking about goals of psychological inquiry? Why psychological inquiry is needed? Because psychological inquiry is needed to get into a particular behavior, to know more about that behavior, to explain or to come up with new theories how to solve or how to deal with that behavior. Okay, it's not only the application of the already made principles. You can also come up with new theories or constructs for further research. We can do further research on a particular behavior. Like in anger management, there are several research still now going on. So it's not that, because anger management, anger is a word and it is a behavior which can be different in different people, and it can be different, it can be differently based on, it has differences based on different cultures, different physic or different psychological moldings, right? So that's why scientific inquiry is needed. That's why all these steps are needed. So these are the goals of psychological inquiry, all these steps which we have come through, because psychological inquiry is needed because we need to delve into a particular behavior and we can come up with new theories as well, new constructs as well. Okay, so thank you for watching this video lecture. So if you have any queries related to this video lecture, you can mail me your queries at sandeepanthehealer@gmail.com. Thank you so much.